Hello, and welcome to Infinitely Lily. My name is Maria, and today I'm going to be doing a general reading for the collective. This might be specific to you or your situation, otherwise, it might be more of a collective energy reading. I'm going to be leaving myself open to spirit and just allowing whatever energies and messages want to come through to come through. I work as a channel, so I will be guided to different scenarios and different energies and different examples of my own life to help bring through the message for you. All right, so just give me a second here while I ground and connect. Okay, so the Pleiadians have been coming through a lot lately. They're someone I have worked with over the years. However, I kind of haven't been hearing from them for a while until the last few weeks here. I think that's because collectively for the last 2 years, we've really been working on the bottom chakras. If you watch my videos from the last week and the week before, I was talking a lot about the heart chakra and the heart chakra balancing that we're doing right now collectively as we're really beginning to awaken and activate the true authentic self within the heart chakra and within all the chakras below the heart. Over the last week, I haven't been on here. I've been processing my own energies. I kind of just go as I'm guided. I follow the energy, and I really just pay attention to my intuition and allow it to guide me to do a video or not. Sometimes I do have inspiration to do a video, but I have to process the energies and ground them first before I can really properly share them anyways. So that is why I've taken a little bit of a break here, as well as I was on holidays. And sometimes spirit really does divine intervention when it comes to stuff like that. It was 2 days ago. So that was a huge portal. I think if I had been at home, it would have been very intense for me, but because I was on holidays, it was very natural, and I went through a lot of shifts that I don't think I would have had access to if I weren't in the situations that I were in. So a lot of huge things are happening right now. Yeah, so the spirit's saying that the Pleiadians are talking to me right now, and they're coming in very clearly. They're standing behind me right now, and they're showing me this list of things they want to talk about. So I'm going to speak presently, consciously as myself, because they want me to ground the energy through the physical body. That allows it to be more penetrated into the subconscious mind rather than when I channel through specifically with just their energy. It will be harder to recognize on a conscious level. And that might be kind of advanced speaking for some of you, but because they are a very higher dimensional energy, which I believe is our future selves. We will eventually evolve to be them. We're just speaking to our future selves, our angelic selves, just like we send healing to ourselves in the past. They are sending healing to their past selves as us, as them. So we are interchangeably the same, just on different time frames of our evolutionary journey. We all know time is happening at a continuous, all at once. However, we can tune into different frequencies in different stages of our development. So time, as we know it, is essentially related to evolution, what stage of evolution you are in as a soul. Although some of you, many of you have come back, this gets to like back to the future kind of complexity, but many of you have evolved to your Pleiadian higher self and then have chosen to come back to this time to help humanity as well. So you're existing on three-dimensional planes all at once, and I don't even want to think about that because it gets my brain hurt. So spirit, the Pleiadians are showing me that I am attracting a Pleiadian audience here. I resonate highly with Pleiadians as well as Arcturians, but more so I know I am Pleiadian. When I look into my family's eyes, I see my Pleiadian self like a lens to where they are watching me, literally like looking through one-sided glass and feeling I can actually see myself as my Pleiadian higher self there. So I do feel that's what Spirit wants to talk about today is your Pleiadian roots, to those who are drawn to this channel, to this reading, to this specific video. Whenever you watch this, whether it's later on or at the present time that I'm posting it, I feel that your guides are strongly trying to get a hold of you for whatever reason, and you're hearing it. So I associate the Pleiadians with the energy of indigo, the third eye chakra. And I believe that is a reason why they're coming through now, because we went through the heart, and now we're really working on the throat and the third eye. Next will be the crown, and on a collective subconscious conscious level. When I say collective consciousness, I really am referring to the whole dynamic of it. So that also includes the subconscious of the collective conscious, which collective conscious is happening subconsciously or unconsciously most of the time. So it's really, the words are interchangeable at that point in most ways. So Pleiadians are wanting to talk about the third eye awakening that is about to occur for many here. Specifically, the 144,000. If you've heard this number before, it is the amount of starseeds brought to Earth to help shift collective consciousness to a higher frequency, to shed the energies of imbalance, specifically the very, very, very extreme imbalances that we experience here daily. And if you've seen my videos earlier, I talk about those lots, but I have associated them with the 7 deadly sins. Each and every chakra has an imbalance to the point where it experiences one of these 7 deadly sins. Each chakra has its own. What I have actually learned about this last week, and now we're diving right in here. So this is where Spirit wants me to go with what we are experiencing here because of the third eye awakening that's beginning to initiate here in the physical from the 222 portal. But I also feel like this is going to be a timeless message. So when you are watching this, you might be experiencing a third eye awakening. Energies are relative to when you can interpret them, when you are capable of bringing them to your consciousness, and your free will allows you to either go through them quickly or take time with each energy. So it's the energy of evolution. Really, you're given an energy, and however long it takes you to process that energy, you will, as you learn the lesson from the energy, essentially, and then you will move on to the next one, and so on. So our third eye chakra, as we know, is in the middle of our head. It is pictured to be a third eye. That's how we see through time and space. That is how we use our imagination. We have a strong imagination. That means our third eye chakra is open. Awakened and open are different. It can be opened and still unbalanced. A true third eye chakra awakening really means that it is coming into its 0 point field. And I talked about this lots before. We are all coming into balance. So balance is like the affinity symbol. But when we hit that center point, the point where there's no bubble on each side, that is where the 0 point field is. That is where liberation is found. That's our point of our center point. So every chakra has a center point, as well as we have a center point, and every single thing has a center point, just as every single thing can have the affinity symbol to show that it is in balance. And most experience some form of imbalance. However, it can be slightly out of balance and still be in what Spirit has been calling the last 2 weeks to me, the Goldilocks zone. So we know the Goldilocks zone for the universe or for our solar system is where human life can exist. As we more limited awareness says, but either way, it is a term that says this is where it is the good spot. So it's within balance. So within this certain field, human life can exist potentially. So that is the zone. That's what I want to say. There's the zone of balance. Within that balance, So harmony is another level of balance. When everything is in harmony, everything is fluidly flowing together. So things can be slightly out of the center, but still within harmony in the system. And we see this lots where like maybe the third eye chakra will be overactive to help balance out an underactive throat chakra. But if they're still within the Goldilocks zone, then that is actually still probably creating positive energy. So it is, the Spirit's kind of going on a tangent on the side here. It is all part of the divine process, but sometimes our egos go in and say, oh, this thing's out of balance. I need to figure it out. I need to fix it. And this was me in the beginning of my awakening. My third, they told me my third, or, maybe it was me, definitely guilty of that. Your heart chakra is out of balance, and so you're focusing on your heart chakra, but your heart chakra might have just been overactive to compensate for something else. Collectively, we've had the experience where our chakras have become codependent on each other because they've had such extremes. So one might be going out of the Goldilocks zone now, and now it's underactive to the point where it's imbalanced. So then something has to overcompensate, and we see this so much in every area of our lives. And lots of us are built on these imbalanced foundations. So we've had to cut down everything we've known. This generally happens. A spiritual awakening is when we remember God, we remember Source. We no longer are just speculating. We're no longer just having hope or faith or belief. We are knowing, right? This is an awakening. I remember, I know. And then from there, everything gets really great for a little while. And then, because it allows you to remember what it's like to be centered, you might find your center for a brief amount of time. And then all these old conditionings will start to come back. This is all part of the process. It's because you are unaware of why they went away or why they were there in the first place. Spiritual awakenings don't necessarily give you clarity on your limited programmings or your subconscious programmings or your traumas or your conditionings. So they can slowly come back, but it's part of the process. It's part of what's called shadow work. So these conditionings will slowly come back, and you'll slowly, as they come back, begin to bring conscious awareness to them. Oh, I react out of jealousy because I have a fear of abandonment, and I try to play or I test my significant others to make sure that they love me. And I maybe sometimes come off in a manipulative way in order to get what I want emotionally. Obviously, this is emotional manipulation. You're not meaning to do it, but because you now have awareness of it, you can change it. Before, it would have been an automatic program. Every time your significant other somehow shows that they are rejecting you, that they don't like you, that you're not good enough in some way, it threatens your fear of abandonment, and then you have to take control of the situation by making them feel like you have power over the relationship or something like that. It's a very common dynamic. And then you see this happening in real time because you're more aware, and for a moment you found your center. And when you really find your center, you can do this through meditation every morning, but spiritual awakenings generally bring you there for the first time ever. And it really will shed everything away for a moment. Sometimes these moments last a long time. Then you can start to see, okay, when my spouse did this, I reacted like that. Why did I do that? What caused that to happen? What happens in the third eye governs the brain, right? The brain is where we hold memory as well as the heart and every other organ, but we associate those main areas, specifically the brain, with memory and cognition and cognitive responses and all that stuff. So we are, in the beginning, we are probably completely unaware, unconscious it's called, of this process, of why I respond in jealousy and withhold love or become cold and silent treatment or whatever. I just turn off every time my spouse doesn't approve of something I've done. In the beginning, this is going to be like, it's going to be so fast that you can't see it. It's going to be such a program in your mind. This is physical conditionings. Your neurotransmitters literally are following the same pathway because you've done it 3,000 times, and now it just happens automatically to any kind of stimuli. Thoughts no longer need to be associated because it is just, you see the stimuli and it instantly triggers the response. It is learnt programming. So in the beginning, just like when you're walking, you no longer had to think about walking. If you did think about walking, it would become very uncomfortable. So this is the shadow work. The shadow work is really, you have been walking your whole life. Now you're going in and you're thinking about every single muscle you use to take a step. In the process, you're going to forget how to walk. You're going to be like, well, I don't know how to walk. Like I can't. You become so hyper aware of every single muscle and every single motion and every single thought that it requires to move that you completely forget the natural process to walk. And this causes the dark night of the soul. And this is where people go into deep pits of despair because they forgot everything and they don't know what they're doing. People can get stuck here for a while, I must admit they can, if they're unaware of the process of shadow work and what is actually happening on a soul level. If you attach to, when I had my spiritual awakening, I was so good. I used to meditate every day and eat organic and whatever you think you needed. And, you just held on for dear life to this beautiful version of yourself. And this caused you more suffering. Every time you hold on to anything, whether it's good or bad, it will cause negative energy. Stagnant energy is negative energy. Energy needs to flow. Energy is fluid. So if you hold on to who you were when you were awakening, or you hold on to who you are as you are awakening, I don't want to be, you're holding on. Anything you hold on to is because you're fearing it. It's come from a place of lack because you believe that you can never create it again. And I see this a lot where people hold on to who they were during their awakening, and therefore now I see them like they're this boomerang. Their energy was here and they're holding on. They're like, it's like a kid not wanting to leave the house and they're holding on to the front door and you're like yanking on them. And it's like eventually when you let go, you're going to get slingshotted forward. So the progress will still happen. And this happens a lot, whether it's for your spiritual awakening or later on. If you take a long time to move through an energy, so we think time looks the same, which, when we measure it from the sun and a clock, it says there's 24 hours in a day. Energetically, though, you can experience a lot more depth. Really, depth is what makes things seem longer. And in a day, so one day can have 35 new energies. So that means you experienced a huge soul evolution. So you went through huge processes. You moved through all these blockages. And so you think, wow, that day it felt so long, or that year felt so long, especially when you're a child, right? You're so present, you're going through the energies as they come. That's why your childhood felt like 3,000 years. Every day was a journey because you literally experienced it fluidly. When you become unaware of the processes, you begin to block the day or the energy, and you hold on to it like you're holding on to the doorknob. The day is going to feel like they're flying by, but they're also going to feel like they drag on. So if you are fluid with energy, the days will feel like they have more time, but they will feel quicker. They will. Because when you go back to a moment of your past, when you just did things fluently, you'll see them as like, wow, like things just happened for me, or it was automatic, or it was natural. This can happen to us when we are asleep. We are in our subconscious programming. Things will actually happen because you are not holding on to things. You're not even aware that that's a thing. You're just going through the process that you probably decided to do when you came here to experience life in the 3D. So you might have had, generally in your early 20s, lots of souls will go through a huge uproar where they go completely unconscious for a while so that they can accumulate all these, or sometimes even amplify their wounds from childhood. so that they can then wake up again in their later 20s or 30s or 40s or whenever they decide to, and then clear out these childhood wounds that are generally so subconscious to us, that we unconscious to us, subconscious, that we can't even access them until we amplify them. So this is why karmic relationships, if you've heard that, karmic relationships are sometimes very important, because they will amplify your traumas or your old conditionings that really keep you stuck. So the process of getting unstuck is a process of feeling stuck. So, however you want to look at that. So when you do end up letting go of the door handle and you get flung forward, you're going to feel like you evolved 10 years overnight. These are called timeline shifts, timeline jumps, quantum leaps. You will always figure it out eventually. But you decide how long you want it to take. And from our perspective, it looks like time. But if you were supposed to experience things, say you had a plan, okay, in 10 years, whatever, you don't do this on a soul level. You know that there's free will and things are fluid. But you say, let's say for the sake of an example, you say, from 20 to 30, I am going to release my fear of abandonment. And all of a sudden you're 40 years old and you haven't released it yet. When you officially go into energy and finally you let go and you're ready to release it, in 1 year you'll do what you're supposed to do in 10 years, or maybe even in 6 days. Literally, you can do it. It might not be that fun, but you can push that energy through. I hope that makes sense for someone, and it helps you to feel why, like, some days you wake up and you're like, wow, things really shifted for me. Probably because you let something go finally. You brought awareness to yourself and your situation, and things started to move. This is what we're here for. We're here to remove the unbalanced energies that have become toxic, that have become the 7 deadly sins that we experience. Lust, hate, gluttony, overeating, control. They have different names for them in the Bible. Rage. And I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, or I'm me as on my multidimensional level. We call it spirituality. But I do believe that's perhaps what they were talking about in the Bible when they said the 7 deadly sins, is they were associating them with. So if you experience the energy of lust, if you experience the energy of hate, if you experience the energy of greed, greed is one that it can still be in the Goldilocks zone. The energy outside of greed is more like manipulation, really, I think. But those are all a bit subjective to them. I have in my Patreon group, I list those more specifically in more depth. But also, so if you experience those energies, there's a very extreme imbalance in your chakra centers, and we have come here literally to clear those energies, specifically the 144,000 of you tuning in here most likely, and those who are tuning in here most likely, I feel, will be Pleiadian ascendants. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the monitor right now. So that is definitely a sign of movement. So this might be moving you to your next step in your evolutionary journey. I know I'm going off a tangent. I'm going to come back to the imbalances here, but Spirit's guiding me to say numbers. So a lot of people will see 1, 1, 1, 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4. These are initiation numbers. This is the universe screaming at you to listen. That means that you probably are still hanging on to the doorknob and you haven't let go yet. They're like, come on, let's go. And you're like, oh, numbers, like 111, what do they mean? Oh, I'm being talked to by my angels. But they're like, okay, but you're not listening. You're not listening to what we're trying to say to you. And we're pulling you so hard. And it's time for you to go. And you're holding on. Yeah. So if you're seeing 1111 or 1, 2, 3, 4, this means that you're not listening. You haven't started your soul work yet. And don't worry. Even if you're 99 years old, you have time. Okay, don't let that freak you out. Time will adjust for you. And it will be rapid, perhaps, if it is overdue. If you were meant to do the soul growth when you were 10 and now you're 50, it might be quite intense when you might go through it all in 1 year, and it might be your midlife crisis. But it will be well worth it. So shadow work literally means bringing balance to the chakras. Figuring out, why do I experience this nasty feeling? Lust is one we have been clearing lately, and then we moved into the solar plexus chakra is gluttony. So the solar plexus chakra is the stomach area. Gluttony is temptation. I like to say this energy is more temptation, with the energy of overindulgence. So that means overdoing things, whether it's alcohol or food or other things, just too much. Literally, the energy of too much. If you say too before you say anything, too much caring, too much love, too much whatever, that means it's imbalanced. You're indicating an imbalance. The heart chakra is hate or wrath, and so if you experience any of those energies, there's an indication that you have an extreme imbalance. Doesn't mean you're always there. You can still come to the Goldilocks zone, especially when you meditate. You can come there, and those energies will not exist, but they'll still have memory literally in your physical compartments. So in your organs, in your brain, in your heart, physically those energies will still be there. Those conditionings, those neurotransmitters computing information will still be there. And I've said this lots. It takes about 21 days to start a new habit, so you can clear your energy. So on an energetic level, you'll be clear of the energies of lust, temptation, and hate. And then when you get triggered, so that means you're wanting to go to those energies, you're wanting to go to those feelings, you say no, and you breathe, and you relax, and you stay calm, relaxed. Literally, that's all you have to do. And don't allow your mind to wander into those situations and those thought loops. You will start to create new ones, healthy ones. Ones, if you just meditate on the 0 point or like nothing, you are going to create, instead of replacing that imbalance with another, you're going to just simply have that 0 point field where all is in unity. I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper. So on the other side of an imbalance, just like the infinity symbol, you will swing from hate to the opposite. So we associate hate and lust and temptation to be bad, and then the other ones on the opposite side of the imbalance, because they will be equally imbalanced. It will look imbalanced, but it will loop. So on the opposite side of hate is too much love. I mean, these manifest differently for everyone, but too much love isn't love. That is the fear that you're going to lose love. That is fear of control. Anything out of balance creates negative energy. So if you're trying to love something too much, you're going to be giving the energy of obsession and control and pity and undeservingness. Literally, if you feel you need to love something too much, you're feeling unworthy of it. Or if you're in energy of temptation, you're going to go to restriction. So I've said this a few times with food. Perhaps you either go from overindulgence with food to extreme restrictive behaviors with food or alcohol or anything in your life. Extreme imbalance means you're imbalanced. We say, okay, when you don't drink at all, that's really good, or this is very relative. I'm not saying yes or no to drinking. That's totally your personal experience. Or sex, or food, or sugar, or whatever. If you are extreme about it, that's an imbalance. The energy of extreme has its own balance, of course. But it is a great way to indicate when something is out of balance. So the sacral chakra is lust, so you can also go to complete celibacy. It's the energy behind why you're doing it. It's the intention. There we go. That's what Spirit was trying to tell me there, so that's why I got distracted. It's the intention behind why you're doing it. That is what will create the energy. So if your intentions to love too much come from a true, authentic place, you won't literally, physically be able to love too much. It will just be love. If your intentions to be celibate come from a place of true self-worth and self-love, then that is actually a glorious decision. So this is why the spiritual ego, so I call this side, the hate, the 7 deadly sins, the 3D ego, because we can like really notice those are bad and we don't like them. But the spiritual ego ones, those are the tricky ones. And so that's why if you don't, if you say, okay, my heart chakra is imbalanced, I'm gonna balance my heart chakra, even though your heart chakra is overactive and your throat chakra is underactive and they're balancing each other's, your intentions are pure, but they say the road to hell was paved with good intentions, because you don't know, so you're going to risk replace one imbalance with another. So lots of people have a 3D bad ego, and they try to go fix it rather than going through the process of shadow work, which is a complete process, and you will be guided through it. They try to do it blindly, and then they just replace one ego with another, one imbalance with another. Now they have a spiritual ego, which we see a lot of, and they're just as lethal as the 3D ego. If you get immersed in the 3D ego so much, you will lose your authentic self. If you get immersed in the spiritual ego enough, you will lose your authentic self. When you get into the center zone, that's when you see your authentic self. That's when you feel like yourself. So if you are a starseed or a Pleiadian or any kind of extraterrestrial, maybe, whatever you want to refer to them as, I don't really see them that way. I see them as energy, frequencies and dimensions, but you might feel a longing to go home. You might feel homesick. You probably aren't that homesick for home. You're more homesick for your center, for your authentic self. When you see your authentic self, you're going to be like, wow, I missed that person, even though you might have never met them. Maybe when you were a baby or young or whatever, you knew your true self, but you maybe have lost them for a long time, and then you found them again, and you're like, wow, well, this feels like me. And you're like, well, like, how do I know that? I've never had me, but you do, because the curtains have been peeled back, and now the true light is shining through. The 3D curtain, the spiritual curtain, the true self is shining through. Awesome. Yes, just making sure I didn't leave any points unfinished there, because I tend to do that. Spirit's feeling really good about it. They are saying, yes, this is the process that's happening right now. Many are giving, so they've been showing me that shadow work is like a ball of yarn. If you try to do it without your guides, you're going to be like pulling like the center of the string of the ball of yarn, and you're going to like make a big mess, you know, or like you're just going to try to find the middle, and you know, those are that trick string that actually is the inside, and you pull that, and that's the very middle, so now you're unraveling it from the inside out, and you're like, oh god, this is bad. If you can get to your center for 1 second during meditation, my last video I showed us how to do that. I'll post that down here below. The Pleiadians actually helped channel that through guided meditation. If you can find your center for 1 second, that's all it takes for you to become aware of spirit. When I say spirit, it's not religious at all. It just means energy, the universal energy of fluid connection. I suppose that would be a good way to explain it. And that's open to all, really. It's the network, the internet, interweb of spirit, of the divine, of the universe. That's a term everyone can resonate with. When you meditate and you come find your center, links in the video up for that video is below, you then will be able to hear the nudge from spirit. So right now, maybe you're feeling like a presence on like the left side of your body. I can like feel like they're like talking to you. Maybe it's specifically for you or a few of you. They want to guide you to the start of the ball of yarn from the outside. That's the only way to do shadow work properly, is from the outside, and then you slowly unravel those old conditionings and programmings, because you're going to be like, well, my heart chakra's unbalanced, I'm going to focus, and they're like, no, don't do that. That is like a can of worms. Don't want to open that. That is bad. That is your ego trying to lead the way. Your ego does not know how to lead the way. Your mind doesn't know how to lead the way. We talked about this in my last video too. You bring that down, you center that mind around the center point, the heart, and it goes and it relaxes and it says, thank God, because I don't know what the frick I was doing. Now it's time for me to relax and, bring to your awareness things that I see based on our past experiences, but the heart is now leading, and the heart knows. The heart is 5,000 times stronger energetically than the brain. I can't remember the other stat. 100 times more magnetic than the brain. During 9/11, the human resonance scale, which is the heartbeat, literally the frequency of the earth, shot up like 3 times its natural state, way beyond where it ever had been. Because for 1 second, the whole world had shiver goosebumps of compassion, and that literally just like the heart of the world just went boom, and it shot up for a second. That shows how powerful the heart chakra is. And when we can tune into that center zone, we literally change the world, because we change the frequency of the world. Therefore, we change the subconscious or conscious collective consciousness and allow people to be attuned in to higher frequency feelings. And our center, true, authentic selves, truly, feelings come and go. And that's how they're intended to be. But when we ground this information, we allow it to become available to the conscious, collective conscious. That was a little bit of a rant there, trying to get back to where I was. So Spirit wants you to help you, guide you through the ball of yarn. If you're trying to do it blind, you're going to do it wrong, and you're going to have to restart a couple times, and you might just replace one imbalance with another and go back and forth. So Spirit is saying, like, all it takes is 1 second of complete liberation in your center point, and then if you just relax and you stay relaxed, you're going to be guided through your life, literally. It's beautiful. Every time you get tight, it might, it's not that it's wrong, but it's an indication of where they were leading you. Okay, so we want you to stay calm, and then you get tight. Oh, this is what I need to figure out. And it's going to come to you naturally. If you're reading a book and it's so hard to focus and you can't read it, so it's probably an indication that it's not right. It's not the right time for you. If you're trying to watch a video and you have to pause it and go back and rewatch it, it's probably an indication that it's not right for you at that time. That's also something that I don't want to say that. Well, no, I'm just going to say that, and you can use your intuition to know when it's, your laziness or your inability to try something new, or your imbalance causing you to not watch it, or if it's actually just not the right time. You'll know. So yes, Spirit is like poking you in the head right here, and they're like, this is where we want to start, right here. Follow this rabbit, this string, this treasure trail hunt, whatever. And it will unravel itself so fluidly that it will feel fun, even though you're going to the deepest, darkest parts of your soul, and you're, it's going to feel rewarding as heck. And every single time you release an old conditioning, you assist the collective in raising the vibration, and you are doing your job. Spirit just showed me that. So let me just get this energy cleared out here. Sometimes you're just not ready to start your shadow work. Okay? You sometimes need to finish fluffing up the feathers. Like I said before, it generally happens in your early 20s when you fluff up through your karmic relationships all of your imbalances so that you can see them very clearly. So you might not be ready. But also your guides aren't always invisible. They're not always spiritual. Lots of them are in the physical with you, your soul family, your Pleiadian family, your starseed families, they're with you. There's this term called the gatekeeper. The key keeper, you might, I don't know, I think there's other terms for it. But there might be a friend or a mother or an auntie or someone who can see you as your authentic self without all the conditionings that you view yourself to be, your limited beliefs. They can see you as you are, truly. They see your soul. You probably can think of someone who knows this, or you know that when you're around them, you want to be a better person because you see how authentically they see you. This is your gatekeeper, because they can guide you to who you truly are, because they have not lost sight of who you truly are, and perhaps you have. These people are your built-in guides. Whatever you want to say to them, they will always give you the right words because they are seeing you authentically. So that's just something to remember. Look out for your gatekeepers, because they are your guide to the beginning of the ball of yarn to start unthreading the big mess that you might have to do. And the reason you have that mess is because you maybe want to collect all of the negative energies of collective consciousness so that you could help clear them. If you never experienced them, you wouldn't be able to clear them. So you, as a light worker, as a starseed, came here literally to experience all that nastiness that you went through, the very traumatic childhood and early 20s, and all the formative experiences that were nasty, so that you could release them. Because you can't experience anything that you haven't experienced. So you had to experience the energy of hate and lust and wrath and all of these nasty energies so that you could transcend them. And truly, this is what we're doing. We're transcending to our center by clearing out the energies of an imbalance. And it's not that we're going anywhere new. We're just creating a sanctuary where we were by removing the darkness that was there, truly. And that's how we find home. And we're coming there so quickly. So quickly, especially this year. We're in 2022. It's all about, that's the energy of twin flames, but it's also about divine union and balance. So we are doing all of those things spectacularly. All right, this is a longer video, but I had lots to say because I was absent for the last few days. But thank you so much for listening. The next video, Spirit is going to be guiding us through some more specific examples of the imbalances we're experiencing collectively, and specifically with those being attracted to these videos. So we will be going more into the unconscious programmings that you're trying to bring to your awareness and consciousness, and trying to figure out why the heck I do this. Why do I do this? And starting to find the end of the thread so that you can begin to unravel. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. Share this with anyone you'd like. I'd love that, to get my channel around. And leave me a comment below. Let me know what resonated with you. I love to hear that. Or you can leave a comment about a video you might want me to do, or something you want me to elaborate on. I just want, any feedback is awesome, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.